This is Yorkshire Television in colour.
Good evening and welcome to the fourth Away with Words Spoken Word Open Mic live stream virtual extravaganza. We're coming to you tonight on Thursday the 18th of June from the beer garden outside of Away with Words Towers. Away with Words Towers there, it's not a tower, it's just a house. We're here in the beer garden because it's a lovely night, Thursday 18th of June for the fourth Away with Words Spoken Word virtual live stream extravaganza, and we've got a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. Some amazing people getting involved, we're getting people from all over the place. Word is spreading. We've got poets from Ireland involved tonight. We've got all the best local poets. We've got two brilliant special guests. We've got someone called Jim Higo doing a guest slot. I forget who he is now, but I've heard he's alright. And we've also got the brilliant Sophie Sparham. She's absolutely immense, one of my favourite poets on the scene. We've got her doing a guest slot later on, so it's going to be an absolutely fantastic night. So we're going to crack on straight away with our first performer of the evening, and that is the wonderful Esther Fennan.
Right to breathe. In America, they still plant strange fruit, worth less than a haircut or plasma TV. Trampled by a familiar policeman's boot, or scrumped running down an open street, white food for white mouths to eat. The idea of blackness as a license to kill, white fears forced on clean black hands. Malaysia, George, Trayvon, Emmett Till, what people but things with which baskets fill, for a nation of customers with unceasing demands. America is an addict for the peculiar fruit. Whether from bough or on tarmac, they drip its juice. With a sip, white problems are choked back down. They can take their pick, not needing a noose. For black control, just the same old sounds. Their blackness is dangerous, ignorant and wrong. Whiteheads nod, president, judge and cop. The open carry patriot and the lady in the shop. They love the words of their favourite song, in harmony as they harvest all day long. Prior convictions. For fuck's sake, I want a drink. I don't care about my sober streak. So much effort to pretend I'm strong when it's easier to admit I'm weak. Buy a bottle from the all-hours store. Pretend a snack will soothe. The morning inferno, a spectacle that. In the meantime, I stand to lose the dull, stark awfulness of living that frames my quietest hours. Drinking, if not quite shutting that lid, holds a more revealing power, compressing what's felt into a knot on my nose, unrolling my room. I slouch drooling in a quilted grave and fall out my adulthood womb. I want that static blast in my head. I want those sluggish eyes. I want to have a lick of courage to behold what coronated lives they apparently live, those small pink faces I grew up with, and the darker ones now that reflect my own reckless force into placebos, bottled in bronze somehow. Drink, Captain, for it greases the cogs of the rackety machine crutch that keeps me from finally earning the pain, containing the changing, healing touch. The letter. However much I may observe my life for matters worse or better, The permanent merits I deserve were born from the ether bed of letters, lancing the boil by throwing away amphibious pages they politely heard. I stripped bare my ruminative dresses, my brush thus crinkled from bone-dry paint, letters I folded from blasted steel. I had perfected a new technique. They were the bravest words to speak, talking while I drank to faint. A written statement seemed the most real. Every roll would find me too weak. I closed my world to a choking tomb. One day, after more sopping tries to bury me further, I entered the room and gave a letter explaining why. This time I was reaching out of the gloom of mirror gazing. It was about time I paused, for a moment at least, to grow up and fill out the sleeves that carried a weight I apparently sought. Well, great days are won, not bought, by striding out and bidding the crowds welcome. I have here my total life. I will regale you with my fortunes aloud. I will my treasure trove to you recite. I am the lead in my own epic flight. Dear sir, madam, I have made you proud.
Here we are. This is the Word with Words spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza. Spread the word, keep reposting, retweeting, whatever you do. Get as many people watching as possible and welcome your next performer, the brilliant Becky Fawcett.
My name is Nobody. That's what I'm called by my mother and father and all my friends. Sheesh. Forget it, Odysseus. I am somebody. I have heft. And with death on our minds all around us, thanks to this virus, I've been planning my funeral. So you'll all know what to do. You need to plot and plan, organise and strategise. This will be your moment to shine. I want black clothes and black roses. No colours. This isn't a circus. I don't want that vicar. You know, him. He's always got pockets full of string and it's hanging out and it's dangling. He's shifty. He wears tweeds in the week. I want the lady one. She's best, yes. The one that looks like Rose West. You hire professional criers and have them stood in a line, a throng of them up the yew tree avenue, and the yew tree shall be weeping blood. I want my poems read out by Ian McKellen. I want trained campanologists ringing out the tune Tubular Bells. I want a plaque in Poets' Corner. I want the service shown on Look North calendar and live streamed on Twitter. I want a 5-minute silence. I want doves, white doves, not the shitty doves that look like pigeons, no. I want former loves from 1 to 12 threatening to kill themselves. I want cupcakes in the shape of a coffin and my coffin in the shape of a cupcake. I want a coin and a stamp in my honour. I want a ban of mascara. No funny eulogy, it's got to be moving. You make my enemies wait in the rain by the lynch gate. And if it's not raining, you better make it rain. You better show folk. You better make them know. My name wasn't nobody. It was somebody. Okay?
This is a Word with Words spoken word live stream extravaganza. We've got some brilliant people lined up for guest slots from Jim Higo and Sophie Sparham. But please welcome next the wonderful Terry Cochrane.
Hello again, it's Terry Cochrane, and this month I've got 4 poems for you. Not too long, so I shouldn't be too boring. And the first one's called Modern Strife. I write them down by the way because I'm getting old. Mother is rushing, she's combing her hair, calling time for school at the foot of the stairs, but teachers don't teach you, they don't really care, it's another bloody Monday. For you can see right through their cunning old plan and how they've retarded the new common man, denied him the tools to be all that he can, it's another bloody fun day. Made you believe you were part of some tribe, history written by some faceless scribe, but you're not willing to accept the bribe. It's another bloody Sunday. There are people in places where you've never been, brutally told to stop causing a scene, never becoming what they could have been. It's another bloody mad day. There are children afraid of the future we made, killing themselves because they can't make the grade. Boys on street corners flashing their blade. It's another bloody bad day. There are two-legged pokers selling your soul. You're just a warehouse they put to the wall. Once they decided there's no need for you all, it's another bloody sad day. And Grandad's alone in his room and he's crying. He's so ashamed that he's just give up trying. His tired old eyes, they're no longer prying. Nothing much left to say. And God is a runaway father who left you, giving up trying to save and protect you, turning his back as he tries to forget you. No longer a need to pray. And the earth has grown restless and she's scratching her back. She's on the verge of a counter-attack. Demanding her dues, it's time for payback. Preparing to clear us away. Thank you. This next one is called Race. Race is a word, not an actuality. Race is divisive, not a true reality. Race is a program created to subdue. Race is a weapon aimed at me and you. Race is not a colour or a country or a home. Race is not a culture or wherever you may roam. Race is a watchtower. Race is a watchtower built on corruption. Race is a winding road leading to destruction. Race is a fantasy wrapped up in a lie. Race is all people. Race is you and I. Thank you. And this one's called Back Then. This is my memories of the 70s. We thought back then it was never going to end. We was travelling so fast that we never saw the bend. We just steamed along with a giggle and a song, dancing to the beat and joining with the throng. Scheming, streaming, talking, joking, never give a thought to the fire we were stoking. Prancing, trancing, smoking, talking, chatting shit, not thought-provoking. Way back then, in the never again, when Bowie was king, and he was blaring up the lines between her and him. Working lads getting off with the toff, never a thought for the bombs going off. Blacks and whites, proddies and papists, puppet clowns of the white old racists. Glam rock, shamrock, disco, frisco, picking fights with the bouncers on the front door. Big flares, no cares, metro, retro, Charlie Manson getting old on death row. Helter skelter, gimme shelter. Things are still fucked up in the Mississippi Delta. We were going to change the world and create a new order. Pay no mind to some imaginary border. Walk proud, sing, raise hell, do well, close our ears to the latest hard sell. But we were tired and mired by the latest newspeak, feeding us shit every night on Newsweek. Till we ran away, old and grey, nothing left for us to say. No work, all play, left to die another day. Thank you. And finally, metazapine. If I see you, I'll look the other way. If I see you, I won't have much to say. If I see you, I'll barely crack my face. And if I see you, I'll head for some other place. And if I see you, our eyes will never meet. And if I see you, I'll stare down at my feet. But if you see me, please stop and say hello. And if you see me, don't allow me to ignore. And if you see me, please offer me a smile. And if you see me, just tarry for a while. And if you see me, help untie my twisted mind. And if you see me, just try to be kind. Thank you.
As well as words, we're still sat out in the beer garden enjoying a beer. Boston's sat down here. It's a great night. Keep watching and enjoy your next performer, who is the wonderful Kenny Cramar.
Hello there, my name's Kenny Cramar, and a big welcome from the shack in deepest Lancashire. I make that 5:45 in the morning, so my beautiful wife, Bethan, is safely tucked up in bed, so she's not going to hear some filth in a few minutes. I've called this poetry set Love and Hate. I've got 6 poems for you, 3 shorter than others you'll be pleased to hear. The first poem I handed to a lass I wanted to date. Did I win her over? I will let you decide. It is called Circumstantial Poison, and it goes like this. Ever since our walk around Clumber Park, you have had an effect on my heart. For the past few days my mind has been clouded in a haze. The circumstantial poison that has filled my heart, as you know, has affected my emotions. Your spell has brought me back from hell with your antidote of potions. These emotions are part of my deliberating heart. Maybe a friendship is just the start of things meant to be that only you and I can see. Maybe it is your company I'm seeking that will keep my heart beating. My life is incomplete without an extra heartbeat. Maybe what it all amounts to is simply being with you. Thank you. My second poem is for all you boys with a gentle disposition. It is called This Is What Naughty Boys Get. I have a friend called Mia. Some boys love to see her. She is a dominatrix. They go there for their sadistic fix. But all you respectable boys, don't you ever slate her, because if you do, she'll rub your dick with a cheese grater. Thank you. This poem was inspired by the fact that my divorce lawyer and my then wife shared the same name. It's called The Solicitor. I see Susan for the second time, only she is petitioning my wife for all time. It's all about love and hate. I sign our fate. Susan, I had to let you go, and doing this will end the to and fro. But you will always be part of my life, because you were my wife. I listen to Adagio for strings, and think about things. In signing this, I have cut them all to a wee lass that was beautifully small. Thank you. This poem is about a nasty conversation 2 work colleagues had, which I overheard. They were talking about another colleague who was always eating tinned fish, and because of this, she had bad breath. This is what they said that they wanted to do. It's called sardines. They wanted to run her down in their car and pickle her in a jar, but they knew they'd have to get it right one dark at night, because if he struck her right, she would sliver all the way down the windscreen, slice fish in the rear view mirror. Thank you. After sending a girlfriend a romantic poem while she was on holiday and while I was looking after her house, a mate of mine suggested I write an alternative one. So here it is, and it's called Oh My Word, My Girlfriend's Back from Holiday Tomorrow, and it goes like this. Cheryl, why are you giving me head? My girlfriend's back tomorrow, there's spunk all over the bed. Gets downstairs, you pal, you no good loafer, fast asleep on my girlfriend's sofa. I look around, what a tip indeed. There's me back here, now where's me weed? My girlfriend's back tomorrow, will it end in tears? Pass me that crate, it's full of beers. Thank you. My final poem is called Memory Loss, and because with memory loss there is no love and hate. As we walk our path through the passage of time, we await as the pendulum trips the inevitable chime. And during this journey of unfolding events, a life full of memories is what it presents. Like grains in an hourglass, held in place, all stored together by memory trace. And as each fold to the hourglass base, all that is left is an empty space. Oh, bollocks!
This is A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. Retweet, repost, share the links, get as many people watching as possible, and welcome your next performer, the marvellous Dave Drasdo.
Now then, a while ago, back in about 1972 when I was a lad, me and my mum used to watch all sorts of decent cinema on telly, because in those days you relied on the telly for films and stuff. There was no Sky or Netflix or even video, so you had to rely on the benevolence of the people at the BBC and the ITV for all the decent films you used to watch, and there was plenty of them in those days. Then one night this film came round on BBC Two, called The Gangster Show, The Resistible Rise of Arturo Ui, and it was a bit left field for me and my mum, I must admit, especially me because I was only 12 years old. But we decided to give it a go. It was an adaptation by a play by Bertolt Brecht, which makes it sound really brainy. I don't think it really meant a lot to us then, and I'm not sure it means a lot to me now. But at the beginning there was a monologue, and it's always stuck in my mind, so I'm going to read that monologue from the beginning of the film. Ladies and gentlemen, we present today the great historical gangster play. Learn all about blackmail and frame up. Further, how to succeed in big business through murder. You will see the underworld's most fabled malefactors, all the rotten ill-begotten heroes of certain audiences, here revealed as zeros. Gangsters living, gangsters dying, gangsters selling, gangsters buying. Born gangsters and gangsters made, some that are gone and some that stayed. What you will see is not entirely new, but half the world can testify it's true. And if the other half would rather not remember those hoods and thugs that tried to dismember us, those hangmen and their high-class fellows, let's dig them up or cut them off the gallows. Let's see them come alive in blood and flesh again, before the world does something rash again. Great murderers, says Mr. Brecht, are given far too much respect. Their crimes are vast, their minds pea-size. They use your brains to help their rise. So let's put an end to the popularity enjoyed by these hangmen of humanity. Here's a gangster show to end all shows. Enjoy it, folks, before the siren blows. It's the gangster play that everybody knows. Ta.
Great stuff. We've got some brilliant poets coming up. We've got guest slots from Jim Higo and Sophie Sparham. But please welcome your next performer, the wonderful David Cook.
Good evening, Away with Words. I've got two nostalgic poems for you tonight. The first one's called Shopping with Me Mum. It was quite an occasion going to town, dressed to the nines in me Oxford bags with buttons aplenty, platform-soled shoes, big jumbo collars. I was only going with me mum, but it felt so exciting. We got on the number 14. It was a blue and white corporation double-decker. You could smoke on top deck. Not that I was old enough, but seeing the avenues from such a lofty position, I felt like a king. Me mum always had a list, errands and prezzies, and the odd treat for me. I used to follow her around shop after shop, bustling with folk, clutching their bags. She used to love Hammond's, a great department store. She occasionally splashed out lunch at Picadish, yippee, a plate of chips and baked beans went down great with squash. Being a fashionable lad, I nagged and nagged for a visit to C&A for some trendy rags. She would always give in and let me have my way. Maybe I should have said thank you more that day. It was soon time to get back on the bus, a little tired from traipsing around to find the last item on my mum's list, the one that nobody had. The one that they were always getting in next week. How times have changed. No more exciting visits to town, all replaced with a click on the mouse. The item that nobody had is always there. But God, it's nowhere near as much fun as those days shopping with me mum. Well, that one harks back to me days back in Hull, back on the blue number 14 bus. This one, again, is relating a bit later on in life to when I used to go to 80s nightclubs, probably at the age of 16. So this one's called 80s Nightclub. Nightclub walls dripping in nicotine, a basket with chips and chicken in, eyes smarting with swirling smoke, only a misplaced glance to provoke a dance floor fight between two youths, breaking all the establishment rules, avoiding being burned, an ongoing battle, shuffling on flashing floor like herded cattle. We all believed we looked so cool with our fresh-faced looks just out of school, with fag lazily hanging from pursed-up lips while trying to dance by wiggling hips. Girls together in a rah-rah skirt, handbags floored and ready to flirt. New rags stinking from stale smoke stench, beer sadly spilt that would definitely drench. The night would end with a sexy slow smoochie and a decent girl to snog if you were lucky. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of the evening. See you later. Bye now.
This is Where with Words, and next up we have got the Bard of Withensea, Richard Harries, and watch for a change of costume halfway through.
Guilty secret. Mark and Michelle had been married for 45 years, and they had stayed together so successfully not only because they loved each other, but because they had vowed to always tell the truth to each other. No lies, no guilty secrets. So on this particular afternoon, Mark was feeling very guilty. He looked around shiftily as he approached the building, and he fingered under his collar because he felt really quite nervous and sweaty, and he was hoping that nobody, no relative or neighbour, would see him because he had lied to Michelle and told her that he was going to have a root canal filling and it would take an hour and a half at the dentist's. He was praying that she didn't find out from the dentist, but it didn't seem that likely, did it, that she would? He'd actually parked right round the back of the building. He could have parked at the front, but somebody might have seen his car and just mentioned it. So he trailed a long way round, and now he hurriedly opened the door and shot inside, looking at the bit of paper showing him where to go. He walked down the corridor and opened the door and walked into a strange alien room with strangers in, all of whom looked nervous and upset. He read his paper, and yes, it was the right time and place, and yes, of course, this was a speed awareness course. And he'd lied to Michelle about it because, much as he loved her and nearly as perfect as she was, one of her faults was to sit there in the car and say, "Mark, you're going over 30, it's over 40, you're going to get caught, you're going to be on one of those speed awareness courses." And he had no intention of ever letting her say, "I told you so," because she would tell him that for the rest of his life. He kept watching the door, waiting for the instructor to come because he really wanted it to start and to be over with. And people kept coming in, all holding their bits of papers, all looking rather nervous and guilty. And then the door opened and he thought, well, this must be the instructor. And he looked over and there was Michelle with her piece of paper, looking guilty just like everyone else. Their eyes met and cold fury was running between them. She had told him that she was at a knitting circle all afternoon. She had lied, but then he thought, well, so did I. And then, as they glared at each other, the love came flooding through and they fell about laughing because, after all, if you have to have a guilty secret, it might as well be this one. That was based on a story told to me by my sister Meg when she was on a speed awareness course and another couple came in and acted just like this. So there's an element of truth in it. Granny. For she was my granny, not a gran or a nan, lived in London far away, but we saw her not every day. She visited us in northern Harrogate, and we stayed for Easter nearby. She was a traditional granny, tall and thin, wore floral blouses, had long hair in plaits rolled up in a bun. At night the plaits came down, and she looked like a witch, mischievous one, so different from my daytime gran. She was a Victorian lady, born Rose Amiter in 1887 in Wales. Married a Labour man with strong views, which is how she ended up in London with a trade unionist. He met famous people, dated actresses before she married him. She never liked actresses after that. She brought her boys up to do nothing in the house, and her daughter to do all, as they did then. But I loved her and she loved me too. When I was 12, I was allowed sherry. Cousin Rosemary at 10 was allowed to wash up. And we all loved her so very much. She outlived her husband, her siblings, her friends. She had an air of impishness, sparkling eyes, so much fun, so involved with us, her beloved grandchildren, like a modern granny, not in this way like a Victorian one. She seemed a constant in our lives, as though she would always be there. Those floral blouses she liked so much, we bought them every year. These she saved brand new for a rainy day. She'd always been delicate and looked after herself. At 92, she went back to Pembrokeshire for her last time and bought a picture of boats on a beach. That reminded her of her childhood so long ago. She never bought things for herself, so this must have been special to her indeed. Then people around her started acting strange and she realised something was wrong. She worked it out, being now frail, but not daft. She had 4 children, lived with one son. Her daughter in the next street made all her meals. She saw so much of them, yet one she rarely saw had died. This was hidden from her for a while, but she worked it out and knew something was wrong, so awful. She suffered that nightmare of being alive when one of her children was gone. She was used to bereavement, but this was unbearable. She was heard to say that one of my chicks has gone, and then took to her bed, gave up on life, and in 48 hours was dead. She had been such a fixture in our lives. We were truly bereft. Went to the funeral, invited to take something from the house. That picture of boats is now in my lounge. She loved it so dearly, I see it every day. I think of her every time I look upon it, and I feel blessed that she was in my life. She died nearly 40 years ago. I am shocked and surprised that I still miss her so.
If you're watching Away with Words, please welcome your next performer, the marvellous Linda Owen.
Hello everybody. Hi. Here is my poem called Lightening My Heart. Days have drifted by of late, under a veil of weeks that collects them all in, and my heart physically beats within. Am I aware of a little shoe shuffling within the home? Not until my heart gets lifted. 3 times in a rope of connected knots, I felt it stop and rise a little higher. We forget sometimes how many things of a million things we love, until a life force second kicks in. Armed with my technology, and mine very much with that. was pleasantly interrupted by hearing, seeing, and most of all enjoying the backyard blackbird singing his little heart out as the sun was fading at last. Or was it just his own personal date of territory and life-giving sun? For these birds are said to have one of the most beautiful songs. Now I don't know why, but only this time did I hear another reply, like an echo. For another distant bird sang back in reply, caught up of the size of his physical heart that beats within, and a throat of voice filling a radar of air that I heard so very loud and clear. It is a solo song that other birds bow to, him marking the territory with a soothing violin. I couldn't concentrate on my technology, for my heart was lifted higher within, in awe as I saw him on my rooftop home, perched high upon the chimney, silhouetted against the sky. I see you, I hear you, I feel your song. I respect your ritual, and my heart holds on, with a touch of relief, realizing I can capture you once more, if I too meet the sun at the end of another day. For days will drift by under another veil of weeks that collects them all in, and my heart physically beats within. Now I did say 3 things in a rope of connected knots, lifted my heart. The full-grown cat, whom of ginger fur, belonging to another, returned to my garden, purring, and promptly sat on my lap again. For days had drifted by, under a veil of weeks that collects them all in. And thirdly was sounds of a beautiful orchestra on TV that holds no bounds, stopped my shuffling feet and kept them solid to the ground, simply taking it all in. So what will capture your heart and lift it higher? As days drift by under a veil of weeks that collects them all in, and your heart physically beats within, until a life force second kicks in. Thank you.
This is A Way with Words. Please keep reposting, sharing the link, get as many people watching as possible, and welcome your next performer, the marvellous Dave Attrim.
Afternoon, guys. Here we are again. I'm going to do a few old ones today, including a couple I've not done for ages. I'm going to start with a little old favourite. Radios. Radios speak to you with a crackling voice of voyeuristic hypnotism. Manipulative music becomes the all-over peeping Tom, penetrating your instincts while stealing you away from what you thought was alive to your eyes. Sets your priorities adrift across seas of isolation, like ghost ships sailing into the swirling stormy mists of forget, to never come back until the song's last notes are sung or the last lunchtime headlines read. Or you could just turn the blooming thing off and go shopping. Here's one alluding to my past cultural background and part of the reasons I broke away from it just in time. This is called The Man Your Mum Warned You About. He's the bloke in the big black jacket who beckons you across the club room, meets you on the dance floor where he dictates you do your air guitar party piece and party with his platoon of scantily clad sentries of the opposite sex, selling by night more than just a few JD shots or those second-hand AC/DC patches. So much choice in the smoke and lights, as he tries to turn you away from the fights. Says he can show you another world tonight, 2-3 streets away, a rented terrace on the edge of the Ferrens Way. Plenty of stuff he welcomes you to play with any time. Those guitars he's gathered from the famous years down the line. Nice ideas about your furniture start to flutter as your heart and mind begin to melt like butter. But sadly another 4 months on, knock at the door one Saturday night to find that he's gone, not to be seen again, until our dear mutual friend's funeral in 2010. The wrong man had sadly gone up to heaven, and the man who your mum warned you about is still walking, giving apologise for his abhorrent decade of drugs. Sadly too late. Another old one from a few years back. I actually did it at Gorilla a year or two ago, so I was lying a bit just now. This is called the Yak Yak Attack. I'm not sure if you're going to do crowd participation on an online poetry night, but join in when you want to. They string into sentences, sour words for our ears. Yak yak, yak yak. Keep flying the flags for the hopeful or hoarding harbingers of fear. Yak yak, yak yak. Giving the headlines that have you grinning ear to ear. Yak yak, yak yak. Corroding your savings till you've got nowhere to steer. Back, 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 back. Let our commuters in on the promise they'll catch longer trains. Yak yak, yak yak. Increases in inflation from now on will ride out the same. Clap, 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 clap. Keep services reliable 24 hours a day. Yak yak, yak yak. Come after 9:30 and there's little to pay. Yak yak, yak yak. Their car's gonna cruise right up your road. Open the oversized boots and cruelly unload. All the lies said they would come back one day. Now you listen with your shame as they all say, yak yak, yak yak, yak yak, yak yak. Millions of British shall see the day. Yak yak, yak yak. They're no longer sorting out bottles and for nothing to pay. Yak yak, yak yak. Your dead-end jobs shall become a part of the past. Yak yak, yak yak. Career path of promise and with a pension to last. Yak yak, yak yak. Free dinners and schools, you can hardly wait. Yak yak, yak yak. Oh no, you have to splash out if the age of the day over 8. Yak yak, yak yak. Come place your money, it won't go to waste. Yak yak, yak yak. And you'll find yourself mortgaging your house in somewhat great haste. Yak yak, yak yak. Their car's gonna cruise right up your road. Open their oversized boot and cruelly unload. All the lies said they will come back one day. Now listen with your shame as they all laugh. Laugh, 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 laugh. Laugh, 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 laugh. Thanks.
Great stuff. The sun's still out. We're still in the beer garden. Hope you're enjoying the night. Your next performer is the wonderful Pete Cullen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much indeed to Jim for allowing me to present two of my poems about very inspirational people this evening. Now, my parents were deaf, so me and my sister were brought up in a sign language and a lip reading world. And that's important because it inspired me to write these two poems here. Now, Helen Keller was born a healthy baby in 1880 in Tuscumbia in Alabama in the USA. But she contracted a disease at the age of 19 months, possibly scarlet fever, maybe meningitis. As a consequence, she became blind and profoundly deaf. But she has considerable support from her teacher and her long-term companion and friend, Anne Sullivan. And Helen Keller went on to become a woman of great influence in the USA, particularly in the areas of civil liberties and equality. So my two poems, firstly about Helen Keller and then about Anne Sullivan. So the first one's called Do You Hear What I'm Saying? Helen Keller, 1880 to 1968. A visionary who couldn't see, a listener who couldn't hear, a great orator who couldn't clearly speak, a woman of empathy who couldn't stand injustice. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you see what I mean? A woman with the ability to fight for civil liberties and equality, and the creativity to speak in 35 different countries and impact on government policies. Educated and graduated at Harvard, USA, the first deafblind person in the world to get a degree. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you see what I mean? A woman of charisma. Mark Twain compared her to Caesar and Shakespeare. An establishment antagonist, a radical activist on an FBI watch list. 12 presidents gave her the time of day. JFK really listened to what she had to say. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you see what I mean? A woman who loved music. She could feel those good vibrations. She was never blinded by the light, and to her, silence was golden. I wish I could see like she did. I wish I could hear like she did. I wish I could speak like she did. I wish I could stand up for what I believe in like she did. Don't you wonder sometimes about sound and vision? Right, I mentioned in my introduction that Helen had a friend, and she was also a teacher and lifetime companion. Her name was Anne Sullivan. Anne sacrificed her life for Helen Keller, really. There's no way Helen would have achieved the great things that she did without Anne's support. And I'm sure that Helen would have wanted Anne to know how important she was. So I've written about that gratitude in this poem. And it's in the form of a letter from Helen to Anne. And I've called it A Letter from Helen to Anne. You had a miracle worker's hands. Hands that freed me to understand. Fingertips that let me see. Thumbs that brought sound to me. Palms to help me articulate. Gentle fists to help me communicate. You gave your life to me through a language of tactility. You had patience and toleration, along with a stubborn determination, channeling my frightened emotions with an unconditional devotion. We grew from a strong foundation built on a tangible interaction, feeling the beats of a tympanic symphony, turning them into vibrations of energy. We were two striving for unity by fingerspelling in perfect harmony. A disparate pair working for the desperate and divided, a diverse duo hoping for the separated to be united. We shared the same passions in our hearts. Together we were greater than the sum of our parts. We created a sensory synergy. I thank you for your humility and humanity. Love, Helen. Kiss, kiss. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful evening with Jim and the rest of the other talented performers. And until next time, goodbye.
You're watching Away with Words, spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza. Please keep sharing the link, get as many people watching as possible, and enjoy your next performer, the wonderful Ben Bradshaw.
Good evening, my name is Ben Bradshaw and here are a few poems for the Away with Words virtual open mic night. No words. I've tried so hard that my head hurts, but I cannot find the words or approach the rhyme I need to echo. Black lives matter. Truth is, I do not have the words. I only have the ones they gave me. I cannot have the real ones. My lucky white head cannot feel the pain, cannot fight with their anger. So how can I try right with it? A doll's house. A miniature home made for miniature girls to become miniature women, to practice their chores, put each thing in its place, Tidy house, tidy mind, they repeat from their mothers. But what about their fathers? And what about their brothers? They get soldiers and guns, then the grief when they're bad. They get toy cars and balls, but not allowed in the house. They get laughed at and shamed if they care for a toy. For nurturing, it seems, isn't designed for a boy. So they bury themselves, make their ego a home, and they blacken their windows and they cry all alone. And they gave girls their houses, just like in a child's story, and she cooks the dinner and he carves the glory. But the food isn't plastic, it's real like her bruises. It's like in the past, the boy cries when he loses. Fossil. I guess nostalgia is like a fossil. So much history, so much pain, smashed together and left to rot. Cracked open for a brief moment of joy, rejoicing at what used to be. Thank you.
Okay, you're watching Away with Words. Keep sharing the link. Get as many people watching as possible. And your next performer is the wonderful Lily.
I am anxiety. Anxiety has been a part of me from ever since I could remember. It's worse in winter months, especially January and December. Anxiety has controlled my thoughts for such a long part of my life. I need stability, someone who can treat me nice. Anxiety is thinking about all the worst possible scenarios exploding into one. It isn't just the nail biting or the hair tugging or the sleeve chewing and the humming. It's so important that you pay attention, living with someone who suffers anxiety, because every time they break apart, you have to go right back to the start, put all the pieces back together, find out what pulled them under, that turned the weather in their head to thunder. Spread the curtains, see the sun, another day has now begun. Blessed with pleasant memories, try and take each day with some ease. Wake up, the sun is up. Have a coffee or a cup of tea, then 10 to 20 milligram, pop it out the pack, citalopram. Mixed views, mixed reviews, the doctors commonly prescribe, but why does it feel like I've lost the person inside? It takes a month before it works. I already thought I was at my worst. Feed the baby, push the pram, pop it out the pack, citalopram. My mouth feels dry, my eyes are heavy. They make me want to go to bed already. My heartbeat seems to be unsteady. The doctor said it would be a remedy, and I'm trying as best as I can. Goodbye, bad feelings, citalopram. So many asked me how I coped over the years. Some say it as a joke. How do you cope? A rhetorical question. I don't know how you cope. Some ask as if they've known me for ages. How are you coping? Some say it as if it's them going through it. Well, I wouldn't cope if I was you. Others don't bother to ask. And then the rest, when you try and tell them, they don't care. Cope. I haven't ever got on with the word cope. And if it was a person, I would meet it, get in a taxi, pick it up, go to a pub, get it drunk, and try my best to accidentally leave it behind in a crowd of dancing strangers in a nightclub.
This is Away with Words, and next up we have the whole legend, Tom Atkinson.
Good evening. I hope you're enjoying this Away with Words streaming extravaganza. A lot of things have happened over the last few weeks to myself. I'm now, a couple of weeks ago I was living in my house with my family, and since since the last performance, and since this lockdown has occurred, we've suffered a lot of troubles, and hence I'm living somewhere else. Our relationship has completely broken down. I'm not using this platform to air my grievances or tell you how I'm feeling, because unless any of you are shrinks, I don't think this is the time and place, but we just need context. So I'm living elsewhere now in my own place, which should be filled with love, which should be filled with families, it should be filled with voices, screams and passion of my two kids, but I'm here by myself, and I hope it's only temporary. But this lockdown is a total bastard. This virus is a bastard. I don't think that gets said enough. So tonight I don't feel like being funny. I don't feel like having a laugh. So whether everyone feels that I'm a good musician, an average musician, or a crap musician, I don't care. The only way that you express how you feel is by getting it out. And this platform that Jim provides, you express how you feel through your poetry, you express how you feel through your words, and it's expressed through the way, the tone you speak, the passion that comes out. And I'm not very good with poems. I don't know how to be a Keats. I don't know how to be a Ted Hughes. I probably do know how to be a Larkin. But the one thing I do know is to play guitar and express it through tunes, which sounds a bit cliche, sounds a bit cheesy, so I'm really sorry. It's the only way that I can express stuff. So this is a song called You're the Reason I'm Still Around, and it's for my two children, Paddy who's 3 and Emily who's 1. I've been to some very dark places over the past couple of weeks, which reminds me I need to buy some light bulbs, but if it wasn't for them, I'll be honest, I probably won't be here. If they don't keep me sane, if they don't keep me breathing, I don't know what will. So this is You're the Reason I'm Still Around. And thank you. Till you put me back on my feet, and the sound of love gave me promises I had to keep, and now we are 3. You think this is all we need, but you're struggling to see the smile on me. 'Cause love is true. There's only up when we fall down. 'Cause love is you. 'Cause you're the reason why I am still around. The train arrives at every platform to take us home, and the hill we climb leaves us all with legs of stone. I'm always scared you might forget me too. But now I see every road leads me straight to you. 'Cause love is true. There's only up when we fall down. 'Cause love is you. 'Cause you're the reason why I am still around. And in time you might hear lots of things and wonder what to do. But there are three words that are easier to say than to do. So I say them to you. 'Cause you're the reason why I'm still around. 'Cause you're the reason I'm still around. 'Cause you're the reason I'm still around. 'Cause you're the reason I'm still around. Thank you.
You're watching Away with Words spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza. Your next performer is the marvellous Norman Redmond.
Without shade, all we'd have is light. These are two poems very much classed as shade. The first one's called Emotionless. A wasted day, a humdrum way, the light gone. My path moves upon its fated flea, entwined with frenzied thoughts that leave. Nothing means anything. Nothing is everything. From a time when days were not counted in hours, to a moment hence, holding your favourite faded flowers. All word is noise, all else remains the same. Is breath my only continuity, my only purpose? So tired of this, my lifetime servitude. No sleep wraps me in its warm, tight tentacles. A possibility of not awakening at last brings a smile. Thank you. The next one is a few months old. The fish that speared the egg. Pissed off. I've never seen him since. And I wrote this last year at a time when I was feeling a bit down. So again, it's a bit of shade. It's called Dad, You're a Stranger. I enter the room. Bleeps and hollow breath filled this air. One single bed with cardinal machine stood by its side. There is a warm, but yet a cold-filled chills this space. A cold, not of this world. I cannot help but shiver. My legs are as concrete posts, the sort that hold up my fence. Slowly, inch by inch, I move these posts closer to the bed. My eyes were a few months old when last I looked at him. Even then, I strived to know who you were. Out of our front door you fled. No look back, no return. For 70 years, no contact, no phone call, no words. Throughout those times, I needed you. My tears and fears, alone, without protection, received no reply. Apparently, I have brothers and sisters that I've never known. This uncle, a nephew and niece have never shared a conversation. Why did I come? I asked myself. You were a stranger to me. Have we passed in the street, neither knowing who the other was? Father and son is a bond that ought not be broken. Nothing should come between them. Protection and direction. All at once an alarm goes off, so loud it splits my ear. Nurses and doctors rush in. Out, I'm told. I leave the room. Half an hour later, the doctor comes and tells me, I'm sorry, but your father has passed away. There is no sadness I feel to these words, just anger. I never got to talk to you, nor hear your voice reply. I never got to ask you, Dad. Why? Thank you.
This is Well With Words spoken word virtual live stream extravaganza. The sun's still out, we're still drinking beer. Please keep sharing the link. Enjoy the rest of the show, starting with Speak Out Scunny's very own, the wonderful Sarah Drury.
Hi everyone, hope you're surviving this lockdown and not going too mental, and you know, doing your social distancing and things, and let's hope it'll all improve quite soon, because I think people are going doolally having to stay in all the time. I'm going to read you a couple of poems. This first one is called Debbie, and it's about a prostitute. So here goes. Debbie is a hooker. In her £10 heels, on feet that flail, needy and seedy side streets, breast revealed, an advertisement, far from suckling babes and choked in cling film swaves, spider lashes shading a web of silk-spun secrets, scarlet lips kissed only when the price is right, or taken by force in her moments of weakness. Debbie is a hooker. With her dreams of fame and her racks of shame, 3 GCSEs and a diploma in shagging punters, a decree in peddling her merchandise, a commercialised vagina for fuck-hungry punters, trawling the shadows for the price of a Sunday roast, no praying on Sundays for the blessings of the Holy Ghost. If she lived in the times of Jesus, she would be his best friend. But the people's God doesn't agree with Jesus. She's a woman of disgust in her life, which is a dead end. Debbie is a hooker. And the punters flock like hungry pigeons, feeding on fucks and not on bread. Another vagina with a faceless face, another disposable screw, another depository in the human race. They are stealing her dignity and fucking her, metaphor for broken. Every man that she takes, every orgasm she fakes, every lie of pleasure she has silently spoken. Debbie is a hooker. As dirty money passes by hands of filthy lust, a pound coin for a pound of flesh, a fiver for a blowjob as the legs open and the groin thrust. Paper notes as thin as the skin which separates the shame from the futility within, and when it's a choice between starve or commit a sin, the godless career path wins. Debbie is a hooker. She drips in rows of salubrious shame. She lives in anonymity, a woman without a valid face or name. She would feel helpless, but feelings are soon numb. She feels like dirt and fear and by society shunned. Debbie is a hooker. She pays the rent with every punter and sells her soul for food on the table. She has 3 kids to feed and a boyfriend who is unable to keep his fists away from his possession. She lives in fear at this brutal man's obsession. The loan sharks knocking every day on her door. The interest rates and they want more, more, more. Debbie is a hooker. A victim of our uneconomical society, where jobs are slim and unemployment leads to twists in our sobriety. She slinks the streets, a question mark in the integrity of humanity, where women are a commodity and prostitution no longer a profanity. A reality since the beginning of the lust of men in time, giving her body for a tenner, giving her dignity for a dime. Now, my next poem is a little bit naughty, so if you don't like swearing and you don't like explicit things, don't watch. It's called the M word. Man sits with his hands down his pants. Masturbating, sir, fiddling with your bits, and that is acceptable. Woman sits with her hand inside her pants. Masturbating, madam, playing with your clit, and that is not acceptable. He's spanking the monkey, jerking the gherkin, beating his meat, waxing the carrot, tugging the slug, burping the worm, playing pocket pinball, pulling the pope. He's wanking, he's wanking, he's wanking. And guess what? Women masturbate. We're auditioning the finger puppets, fanning the fur, buttering our muffin, diddling Miss Daisy, playing the piano, petting the bunny, flicking the beans, smacking the pony. She's wanking, she's wanking, she's wanking, but nicely. And why do all the female wanking euphemisms sound so goddamn acceptable, so goddamn wholesome, so goddamn nice? Do we have to be beautified and stereotyped, even in masturbation? Is it because it sounds gentler, falling upon women's ears? Or less offensive, screaming in the ears of the men? Thank you.
Okay, you're watching Away with Words, and now it's time for our first guest slot. What can be said about this man that he hasn't already said about himself? Please welcome your first guest performer of the evening, the almost legendary Jim Higo. Good evening. I'm Jim Higo and this is my set for Away with Words 4. I know what you're thinking, it's a bit sad, Jim, that the only way you can get a guest slot is to award yourself one on the night that you run. Oh, that it's come to this. There's a million doors, but no way out. They don't look young and they don't look old. And they haven't come to steal your gold or shag your wife. They don't build hotels on this estate and the taxis don't come to the gate, and it's hard to learn that your best mate is the moneylender and the magistrate. Or the kids have got attack dog eyes and you can hear the cries, and the gangsters' girls giving alibis and a distant glimpse of a bogus prize, and it's all just lies. It's all just fucking lies. And tomorrow looms like a waiting hearse, and he's shopping with an empty purse, and his cough's got worse since he went on E6. And nothing changes and nothing gets better. And it's always raining, and it's not just the weather that's fucking depressing. He's stressing over the chances he's missed. He's got a hole in his bucket list. He'll get pissed, then reminisce, or find some friendly lips to kiss. But the beer's warm and the air is rancid, and he's dropped a pill and he's fucking wankered, and he's laughing at a joke that isn't funny, and some bloke is giving him the eye, but it's fine because he's mates with the lads on the door. And anyway, nobody fights for pride anymore. They only ever fight for money. There's a million doors, but no way out. In cut-down jeans and flip-flops, listening to hip-hop, standing in a queue at the chip shop saying he's a DJ and I an apper. a white-faced, fast-paced gangster rapper. He's making cash from dodgy trackies and selling knocked-off baccy in Nightjar, and he knows where to go to score some coke, and he's running weed on the estate for a bloke he met in Armley, and he gets his gear from Hepworth Arcade, and when he gets paid, he's king of the city. But dreams are cheap and life is cheaper, and he's in the shit and it's getting deeper. It's a learning curve that just got steeper than a cliff edge. And the sun goes in and the fights begin, and he hides his scabs under a phony skin and thinks about his next tattoo. And problems grow and horizons shrink, and he drowns his pain in cut-price drink and backstreet propaganda. And he does a bag in the underpass, and he's on a high that's different class, but the sun goes down and it doesn't last, and he kicks the shit out of his lass because he's the only one that's there. And he holds a gun up to his head and wonders whether being dead is really any different to how he's feeling now. But nobody's looking and nobody's listening. So they fight at the wedding, and they fight at the christening, and they fight in the pub, and they fight in the kitchen, and the neighbours are bitching and the addicts are twitching, and nothing will change, so there's no point resisting. There's no point fucking resisting. And the sleeping congregation pray, and the lights go out and the sky turns grey, and the riot van drives the other way. There's a million doors, but no way out. If it was tomorrow, we'd be holding hands. I'd see the speeding lorry hurtling down the hill. Noticed the driver distracted by a mundane text. If it was tomorrow, I'd have checked the weather forecast, maybe read our horoscopes, seen the ominous clouds. I'd have worn the right clothes for the occasion. If it was tomorrow, the journey would have been smoother. I'd have checked the oil and water. I'd have known about the planned delays on Aldous Road. If it was tomorrow, I'd have set off a second earlier. I wouldn't have stalled at that junction or jumped the amber light. I'd have maintained an appropriate distance for the conditions. If it was tomorrow, everything would be different. A couple I've known for ages split up recently, and I don't know what it is when a couple who've been together for ages splits up, but it sort of gladdens your heart a little bit, doesn't it? It makes you feel warm inside, makes the world seem a little bit more tolerable. So this is a poem for them. It was no surprise when we heard the news that the golden couple had split. To those of us who'd been to their vegan dinner parties and listened to their tedious shit. He was the spawn of Alan Sugar, she was Lady Macbeth. It was either part and live alone or bore themselves to death. I won't miss the hole where their soul should be, I won't miss their homemade bread. I won't miss the tales about their kids, I won't miss those murder mystery nights spent wishing I was the one who was dead. I won't miss the way their stories always top the ones I've told. I won't miss her bland designer frocks, I won't miss his dripping gold. I won't miss their virtue signalling, I won't miss their doorstep claps. I won't miss the weekly podcast packed with condescending crap. I won't miss their tedious anecdotes about their time in Ayia Napa. I won't miss a single thing about them, because he was a cunt and she was a slapper. When the house went up for sale, I'm sure the details must have read. Much sought after residents, previous occupants, the living dead. If walls could talk, their message would be resolute and clear. We can't stand these fuckers for another second. Get us out of here. I don't care about the custody battle, the accusations and the writs. I just feel sorry for the one who loses and ends up with the kids. I don't care about her mental trauma. I don't care about his pain. I'm just grateful that I'll never have to sit through another art house film night again. I don't care if he ends up alone. I don't care if she feels rejection. I just pity the one who has to have the CD collection. I don't care whose heart was broke the most. I don't care which one was sadder. I don't care about their mental stress, because he was a cunt and she was a slapper. They renewed their marriage vows to prove that true love never ends, and sent a commemorative video to the neighbours and all their Facebook friends. They share all their thoughts on Twitter and stream their Christmas on Snapchat, and have a charity crowdfunder every year to celebrate the birthday of the cat. But now he's dropped out of the baseball team and the book club haven't seen her, and they've had to sell the 4x4 and they've sacked the Polish cleaner. I won't miss their in-the-moment selfies, I won't miss their relationship goals, I won't miss their moral superiority, I won't miss their gender-neutral roles, I won't miss their meditation, I won't miss their yoga classes, I won't miss their sponsored bungee jumps, I won't miss their midnight masses. I don't care if their lives have been destroyed, I don't care if they've gone down the crapper, I don't care if I never see them again. Because he was a cunt and she was a slapper. Thank you very much. My name's Jim Higo. This has been my set for Away with Words live stream number 4. Cheers, enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you. Great stuff, this is Away with Words. Keep sharing, we've got loads and loads of great people to perform. We've got another fantastic guest slot from the brilliant Sophie Sparham. She's absolutely immense, you don't want to miss that. So keep sharing and welcome your next performer, the wonderful Pete Jordan.
I missed last month because I was ill, but I'm back again now. These are all new poems written in the last month or so. This first one is called Time Last. The last time I kissed your lips. The first time I kissed your lips. The only time. A moment of joy and communion, unplanned, spontaneous, outside all rules. The taste of you filled my being. The memory. Perhaps odd molecules still dance around my tongue. Flavours complex, dance into a smile. Redolent, resonant delight. Memories to treasure, for as long as I remain. Memories perhaps to revisit, repeat, return to. One day, any day, every day, you might choose. Second one I've got, the second one here is called Now I Know. I thought I wasn't loved, but now I know that I am love, and yes, loved. I thought there were no words inside me, but now I know there are vast silences. I thought my body was a dry husk, but now I know its sensation and dancing light. I thought I wasn't allowed, but now I know that I'll be here anyhow because I do care. Because shame and fear are no longer welcome here. I thought I was alone, but now I know. Third one is called My Feet Won't Move. My feet won't move mountains. Mountains move themselves. Forests dance my hands. My hands are still lives. Running over deep waters falling. falling, jumping, tumbling. Deep buried wounded heart, heart pumping, pounding light. Dancing leaves fill my mind, mindful peace envelops. Cool breeze rises over ice. Ice sheets grind, slow flow. Over fire, burning, buried deep. Deep banked, soul embraced. The last one tonight is called Fall. You always were autumn, the years we've known, the decades before. But now, as you glimpse 500 years close soon, you're coming into your own, your beauty, transcendent, crystalline and present, slicing through waves. This is your time, as you fly weightless into the soft green gold light. Sometimes even with me, for a little while. You, my love. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
Great stuff. This is A Way with Words. Keep sharing the link, get as many people watching as possible, and welcome your next performer, Clint Wastling.
Hi, I'm Clint Wastling. I'm going to read you one of the East Park poems from my collection called Layers. This is called The Splash Boat. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 generations awestruck by the gravity of this mechanism. To queue and climb the steps, we choose our seats and wait with trepidation between heartbeats. Movement slowly accelerates. The roar of wood on rail accumulates and screaming punctuates descent until the nose plunges and the plume of water arcs and thrills drop by drop onto us, our neighbours, mums and dads, clandestine lovers. Finally the vessel judders. The splash boat, hauled to home by jute. We disembark and watch the next crew ride the water chute.
This is A Way with Words. We're still in the beer garden. It's still a lovely night. Please keep sharing the link. Get as many people watching as we can possibly get watching, and welcome your next performer, the marvellous Joe Paholka.
Thank you, Jim, for the introduction, and let's hope we don't have another second wave of this whole COVID thing. It's beginning to suck now, but fuck it. Everything's going back to normal for us, which is nice. So I thought I'd write a song about sort of like my fiancée. I've never actually written a poem or a song about her yet. It's been nearly 10 years. I suck as a life partner, I really do. But I think it's keeping a line, you know. She's like, oh, when are you going to write one? I'm thinking of one for inspiration. Right, so here we go. When your eyes tune to 1,000-fold, and the warmth in your smile keeps me holding mine. A resting heart for sailing true. These arms are holding you. Christmas every year held so close. Wave away the grey, and the kids hold our exact color. Mother, father, two brothers. What we were was born from love that the world tries to take away. But one day it will win and will become the home that we lived in. Wave away the grey. Wave away the grey. Wave away the grey. As the questions start to appear, loosen up all your fears. The rattling cage of our unknown age begins to fade. As the eyes close, I suppose that's where the dream begins. These arms holding you, wave away the grey. These arms holding you, wave away the grey. These arms holding you, words paved the way. These arms holding you, and your eyes tuned to 1,000 volts, and the warmth in your smile keeps me holding mine. A resting heart for sailing true. These arms are holding you. Thank you. And really quickly, made this poem the other day. Okay, seems though it's poetry night, should really be on that. Okay, this is about when I had a brain hemorrhage as a 21-year-old, and I had to get back into the adjust of reality, which was pretty fun. Sorry to shake you guys up with a bit of that, but it's a bit of a surprise, I know. But this is a poem from there, just a short one. Shudders and shakes were all that was left from the muddling partakes of the mind's outward breath. I can't remember the fall from summer, the numb tingling was like footsteps all over. Mine just now crawls around the shore, until another asks a question about the brain paw. I can't answer, it's buried deep, a part of me knows I need it to sleep. The woven cosmos, to the hairy fields, the ghostly lows to the sword and shields. I got to see and know, the forceful will wilts away the eyes, like I came close to the other side of the glass, and sights to my surprise. It stays with me at night, blows easily away in the day, but a glimmer nonetheless, and it's very hard to say. Harder still is the fact that it is factless. I feel life's more than it was, yet still senseless. Sometimes I can't grasp, but with that, take off the mask, I realize it's all now in the past. The power that it bears comes from footsteps on the stairs, and the times I feel as though I could fall are hardly there. They don't bother me at all. Okay, thank you very much, and hope everyone keeps well. Hopefully we're nearing the end of this whole stay indoors and all. I'll enjoy the outside once more. Okay, thank you very much, and see you next time.
This is Well with Words. Please keep sharing the link. We've still got the marvellous Sophie Sparham to come very, very soon. Give it up for your next performer, the wonderful Lee Crossland.
Hi, hope we're all okay. Another 3 weeks passed and we're all here again. I mean, what could happen in 3 weeks? I'll get straight on my first poem. It's called Bound Beauty. Tiring endured endurance, a self-assurance of the hidden fire. Flames blanketed, disguising desire. Entombed in deep depths, there she dances alone, as fenced feelings are grown. Restrained from release, a molten magma spark. Sedated in volcanoes, searing sediment stomach. Fiery pupil is set, central with an iris black. Buried beneath, blocking wanting, of wanted unmasking, a telling of adoration and admiration. Spill of seduction, confessed consumption, of distant desired interest. Shy coy glances, hiding held advances. We could connect. I'm here. You're here. I know as much as yes, equal in answer, my festering fear. Like I mentioned, there's a lot going on at the moment that's very driven by bad things, but it was a lot worse in the 80s. So my second poem, Most Evil. It's not Kim Jong-un or Osama, it's not Trump or Bourdieu. The evilest man ever is definitively Skeletor. Billowing blue robes, a pallid yellow skull, with chattering jaundiced jaw. He's surrounded by henchmen, fools and sycophantic servants. Most evil, evidently, Skeletor. Kim Jong-un delights in displaying his military might. Testing weaponry for fun. He just doesn't compare. A man with 3 eyes, a cyborg with trapped jaw, and an orange beast covered in fur. All accompanied by a man from the sea, and a lady as yellow as he. He atop his throne, patting his purple panther, manic cacophonic cackling, drowning do-gooder laughter. Havoc's staff is goat skull-topped, sinister sordid redded, debauched ideals nefarious plans concocted, evil machinations are mixed. The evilest man furrows forward, fighting furiously, but ends up muddied, sat in a ditch. My third one and final one is a poem that was just born from the first verse, really. Wrote that and the rest followed, so here we go. A dance of choice. Dance with the devil, embrace the love of evil, bathe in morbid attention, revel in macabre merriment, waltz with intention. Darken medals of honour and law, dim the light, show the flaw, and teach what was once taught, abuse intellect, wreck wisdom, waltz without thought. Lost in shadow, delightfully dark, jester pranks, ill-spirited lark, cacophony of cackles, catatonic, skeletal jokers mercilessly cajole, waltz until you fall. Onto wrong rail, make the train deviate. No right answers, alternative state. Be righteous, as for conformity fail. Attracts and embrace opposition. Waltz together, top and tail. Who's to proclaim, drown in bathing light? Who's to proclaim, that's standard, that's right? Look within, test yourself, explore. Take a waltz on the dark path. About you, it will proclaim much more. Hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you for listening.
This is a Way with Words spoken word open mic live stream virtual extravaganza. It's now time for our headline slot. Our out of town guest, and she's absolutely immense. We were lucky enough to get her over to perform for us a couple of years ago at A Way with Words, and it was one of the best performances I've ever seen. She's one of my favourite poets. She's a brilliant writer, brilliant performer. So please enjoy the wonderful Sophie Sparham.
Hey up everyone, Sophie here. It's really awesome to be able to do a guest slot at A Way with Words. I absolutely love the poetry night, and yeah, hopefully can get back on up there soon when all this craziness is done. So I'm going to read you 2 poems tonight. The first one is called Breathe, which was inspired by Mary Oliver's Wild Geese. Something that I think about a lot is the opening line to Wild Geese, which is, "You do not have to be good." And I think that's so important. It's such an important line because we feel that we just have to do all this stuff as human beings, and actually normally you're the person putting the pressure on yourself. I mean, so society, but we're the ones that kind of think, oh, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I'm not doing that, and always compare ourselves and stuff. So if you're doing that, stop it. I say that, but I do that also, so you know. Anyway, this is Breathe. You do not have to repent for your sins. Pray to Jesus, Allah, or the neon sign of the adult store on the A38. You do not have to open yourself like a flower to every rib cage that your hand brushes against, nor push your fingers to the back of your throat to vomit out the past from the pit of your stomach. You do not need to search for forgiveness from gravestones, meaning from opera, the Tate Modern, or any other art form that's not been made for you. You do not need to innovate yourself, change the electronics industry, or solve homelessness. Buy running shoes or a house. Give away words you saved for another tongue. Merely put your ear to my chest and listen to my breathing against the traffic outside. Cool. So, that is my first poem. This is my second poem. I've always been a massive fan of Dennis Skinner, and I really wanted to take Dennis Skinner joyriding. I don't know why, but I think I just thought about it one day, and that's literally what this poem's about. So it's called Joyriding with Dennis Skinner. Everyone must spend some time being bad. After 49 years, God knows you've earned it. Choose the car you've always wanted to steal. Let me smash the window. Outside the pubs, men grind together as regular as teeth in the jaws of one who's always hungry. We ride past figures who spray their lovers against walls like graffiti. Tag the city with names they want the night to know. Past those that vomit their truth into drain pipes. Mouth as open as goalposts shooting for home. This isn't what I wanted to show you. But understand, we grow differently down here in the cracks. Are always waiting to be weeded out or burnt by daylight. Leave our legacies on newspaper headlines. Are far more interesting dead. I've learnt to pray by pressing my foot down on the accelerator and holding my breath. I know I should spend a lifetime repenting for my sins, flog myself daily to make up for the people I have borderlines with tire marks. But you, my sweet, there's nothing left for you to do. I can't see anything changing St. Peter's mind. If you, a passenger of sin, were to lean back, put your feet on the dashboard, close your eyes and whisper, "Dear God, I'm coming." Thank you.
Great stuff. You're watching Away with Words. We've still got loads of great performances to come, so keep sharing, keep watching, and welcome a first for Away with Words. Now it's our first performer ever from Ireland, from County Tipperary. Please welcome Michael Jurak.
I don't normally write political poems, but these are not normal times. So this is my response to recent developments on the far side of the Atlantic. Falling out of love with America. In spite of Abraham, Martin and John, in spite of Paul Simon and Ella Fitzgerald, in spite of Joe DiMaggio and Muhammad Ali, in spite of Nashville, Hollywood, Delta Blues, Super Bowl, Broadway, New England Fall, in spite of the poetry oozing from the map of the 50 states, Tucson, Sacramento, Cincinnati, Baton Rouge, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Massachusetts, Tennessee, I have fallen out of love with America. Because The American dream is the American nightmare. The land of the free, the land of the slave. The home of the brave, the home of the coward. Because truth matters. Because lives matter. Black lives matter. Muslim lives matter. Latino lives matter. Choctaw lives matter. Because the right to bear arms is as absurd as the right to arm bears. Because the house at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is a dark place. Because in a democracy you get the leaders you elect. I have fallen out of love with America.
Great stuff. You're watching Away with Words. We've still got some great performers to come, so please keep watching and enjoy your next performer, who is Henry Inman.
Hi, my name's Henry Inman. I've not done this for a few years, not since I left Hull Uni, so let's see if I've still got it or if I ever had it to begin with. This one's called Get Over It. Get over it. Easier said than done. Kind of hard in isolation when all you've got is your own company. Those conversations get bumpy. Don't be angry, don't be grumpy, get over it. Woke up on the wrong side of the bed, it's all in your head. I know, that's the problem. Come on, come on, come on. My head isn't always a nice place to be. How do I deal? I write poetry, stand-up comedy, make jokes about cerebral palsy, and drink whiskey. I talk shit. Get over it. Dealt a bad hand. Literally. Ain't it grand? Get over it. It can't all be shit. Come on, Henry, you've got degrees. I do. And I love the memories. With them, I got a job where I could perform and travel. Then came the unravel. Not bit by bit. One sledgehammer hit. Get over it. Today we announce the end of Thomas Cook. Oh, well, what about the holiday I was going to book? Right now, I don't give a fuck. There's 1,000 thoughts running through my head, so I don't give a shit about your sunbed. They'll refund your money, not my lost opportunity. Don't cry, Henry. Well, what about all these what-ifs and a potential relationship gone to shit and what feels like endless kicks to the dick? Get over it. Well, shit. Going from jackpot to missed your shot, that's your lot. Too bad she's hot. I really liked her, that's the thing. A new thing, a never before seen thing. Fuck me, does that sting. Henry, stop being a tit. Get over it. Thing is, I probably will, if you're with me still. It's simple. Isolation adds to the aggravation, leads to bad conversations, wishing for faces, places, chasing traces of what ifs and could have beens. Do your best to take it on the chin, but inner monologues take a toll. But eventually you'll climb out the hole. I'm used to rolling with the punches. Sometimes they're in bunches. It's not just about getting over it. It's about living with it. And I can live with it. When the world steadies its boat, I'll wear my famous coat, leave my isolated base and feel stage light on my face. That is when I'm happiest. Either that or when I'm pissed. I'll pass through this fucked up mental mist, I'll handle my shit, get over it, live with it, and trust me, when I do, it's going to be a hit. Battle through, kids. All we can do. Thanks for listening.
This is Away with Words. Please keep sharing the link, keep watching, and welcome your next performer, Kel Howman.
My balmy gran. My gran lived in the Far East. She spoke a different lingo. An exotic place called Astoria. It's where she played her bingo. Wednesday was her big day. She'd go there with her sister. She didn't like to catch the bus. It would irritate her blister. 5 and 9, the Brighton line, was her favourite number. What did that mean? Sweet 16? I often used to wonder. Doctor's orders, number 9. She was nearly always sweating. Key of the door, 21. That's not what Gran was getting. Unlucky for some, 13. Often slipped her by. Maggie's den, number 10. Gran lets out a sigh. The 2 fat ladies across the aisle, they were always winning. Gran would say, "They're lucky cats, that's why they're always grinning." When Gran got home, she'd have a moan, complain about the caller. His voice was too quiet and never clear. I like the bloke that's taller. Crap Black Sannies by Krusty Bob Cobb. I used to live on Newland when I was a lad. Sidmouth Street was my old school, and it really wasn't too bad. The avenue's seen lots of changes, more over recent years. Trendy bars and restaurants, all selling fancy beers. We didn't have a swimming baths, we'd march across the Ferrons. Newland had a Goodfellows then. We'd never heard of herons. We used to go to youth club on a Tuesday night. We'd play some table tennis. We didn't go to fight. Football with the big kids, Sundays, Pearson Park. Didn't need a mobile then, always in by dark. Ugly metal dustbins, and even outside loos. Crap black Sannies, no Nike or Converse shoes. So, it's all changed, and what remains? I've even seen a deli. Patty and chips and scraps back then was enough to fill my belly. But now we've got a crisis, and streets look pretty bleak. Just homeless folk and buses pass. It's just like hide and seek. If all this business gets sorted and life returns to normal, just take the time to say howdo instead of being quite so formal. Thank you.
Great stuff. This is A Way with Words. I've had a couple of beers. It's been a lovely evening. Please welcome your next performer, the marvellous Andy N.
Hi, my name is Andy N. The first poem I'm going to do tonight is kind of protest poem really, and this is called A Different Kind of Protest. Across the limbs of budded trees on the edge of the deserted cricket ground are thousands of protesting in the city centre. Nature is carrying out a very different protest, stretched in a never-ending line, with the wind carrying it across the coastline. Rippling over the waves and over the boarded up pier, merging together in one sacred chord, in the forest at the edge of the day, ignited in a different kind of anger, before dulling to halt when the breeze cuts out. Shaking in the sunset all the way across the city centre, lost in a barrage of human noise, intensely sad for what had happened, whether in between two skyscrapers or over the edge of a different cliff. Their sadness enriched with history, consciously borrowed over millenniums, over sentences of shame, at the snap of a book about to shoot, harvesting the skies from Australia to Iceland, hoping people would realise so much more he's doing. Okay, the next piece I'm going to do is from a brand new little chapbook I just bought out actually. And this is called Selected Extracts from the End of the World. And this actually was wrote before everything went down with the virus really. But I'm going to read out a couple of little pieces from that because what they are with these are like tiny little fragmented little poems. And what each one's trying to do is tell its own little story, almost like how people would react if the world was going to end and there's nothing they could do about it. So I'm going to read out 3 of them, and they're only a couple lines each, and they won't take long. Faces. Faces evenly spread out. I sit on the train, counting eyelashes when the moon went down the last time. Faces 2. Studying her quiet face asleep, I can only guess how far she has travelled when the moon went down that last time. And lastly, from this book, this last piece is called The Killing Joke. After pulling down the tent, the clown knew he'd had the last laugh after shooting his boss dead once the sun started burning up, who he'd hated for years. Okay, lastly, I'm going to do something out from my second book from a few years ago, this one. I usually do this when I'm doing sets as an introduction to myself. I'm going to do where we are tonight. So this is called Migration. And migration itself is about, obviously as a person, where I actually come from, where I'm heading into now. It's directly inspired by Paul Auster's excellent winter journal, where he listed over quite a long passage all the places he had grown up and lived in. So this is mine in a poem, really. Migration. The flat near Longford Park is still a huge mystery and got demolished shortly after you moved. You don't remember much about Moss Lane East, apart from that one winter there when the boiler kept breaking down, reducing the wind into floods of tears. You want to remember that first spring on Martin Road, when your football smacked your sister that hard in the face. Your mother must have used 20 buckets to wash out blood. By the time your brother arrived, you'd moved just up the road, and within a week of moving, ended up going to your nana's funeral. Didn't stop crying during the wake. Ripon Road, where 2 of your cats was buried, was less happy, as was Chatsworth Road, which was opposite your old high school, which nearly expelled your brother. Now, of course, you live in different towns, and with memories like sails in the mist, bleeding over the sunset, etched in the past like closed factories, windswept in a wordless language. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of the show. This has been A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all of the poets and performers who've contributed. A massive thanks to our special guest tonight, Sophie Sparham, who was immense. As always, we will be back probably on the 3rd Thursday of July with another live stream. Thanks for being involved. Keep watching, keep getting involved, keep following, keep retweeting. I've been Jim Higo. This has been A Way with Words, spoken word, open mic, live stream, virtual extravaganza. Thank you very much. Have a safe journey home. Enjoy yourself. Cheers. Thank you.